Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe. I'm gonna be going over a build today. This is for a 2008 LMM Duramax. First thing I'm gonna go over is in this build we've actually keyed the crank, and what that means is if you look here, if you see that hole, there's actually dowel pins that are right here. That this keyway will actually hold the balancer. This one holds the reluctor wheel. So we've had it machined to where we can put a 5mm keyway plus the key to hold the balancer, which will hold this one, and then the reluctor wheel. Now let me show you what a stock crank, how it comes from the factory. Every Duramax in the world comes with pins versus, you know, keys. So you look here closely, the one for the reluctor wheel, that one broke. It ended up being in push rods, and they kept driving it, and boom, the crank broke eventually. If we let's see what else. Another thing, when you're assembling a short block, you know, I mean, the whole world knows, you know, use assembly lube. You don't want to run a motor and have a dry start. So we've actually used our Lucas, you know, assembly lube. We actually got that for free from sponsorship. So I mean, you can use anything. You could go to any parts store. I mean, it's $4 or $5 and you get a whole tube. It all does the same stuff. You know, there's no rocket science going on in there. You know, another big factor, there's actually there's thrust bearings. You look closely, there's one there, they half moon in there, and they go on the front part of the crank and the back parts. There's two, but then there's one more that actually goes in the main cap. Now what that does is it keeps the crankshaft from walking forward and backward, so you see it won't shift. And I've actually seen dudes build Duramax engines and leave those out. That's a whole nother story. You know, here the main caps. You know, it's got brand new bearings, you know, Clevite main bearings. We got the rod bearings. We got a main studs. You don't have to run main studs, but you know, this was part of the build, so that's that. Another big key factor is the camshaft. It also comes with a pin from the factory, but we've had this machined to where we could install, you know, a 5mm key. I mean, you can see that one right there. You know, get a key. Let's see. Boom. You know, it drops right in. The cam gear goes over it, you know, the whole 9 yards. We actually did an upgrade on pistons. These style of pistons come in the, you know, LBZs, LMMs. It's from 06 to 2010. If you look here, you can actually see the crack in it. You see the crack in the hole. Well, they're just crappy pistons. I mean, it was just a poor design. You know, this wrist pin actually rides in a bushing on these year models that I just said, and so the bushings will come out and hit the cylinder wall. You know, end up destroying the block completely. We upgraded the pistons. We went with Molly pistons. You know, you can actually find these in stock Duramaxes from the years 01 to 05. You know, LB7 LLY. They have the wrist pin rides in the piston itself. It doesn't have a bushing, so it's really hard to have failure with these, and they're just so much better designed. There's actually a dude out there that made 1799 horsepower on the dyno, and you know, that's what he made with those pistons. So it's very same exact pistons you see right there is what he was working with and all that stuff. You know, here we got a pretty nice bin full of, you know, LBZ LMM pistons. We don't put those in builds for liability purposes. So these we're basically we're gonna go put these in a storage somewhere. They'll sit. You know, if the dudes from China want them back, they can gladly have them. We'll drop ship them back to them if they want them. This motor, it's spun main bearings, so the crank's junk, the block's junk. I mean, even though it may look rebuildable, it is not rebuildable. You know, other than that, I mean, a few other things you want to do if you decide to take it upon yourself to rebuild your own engine. You have oil piston cooling jets. You see there, they're little nozzles. Those they squirt up into the bottom of the piston. Let me show you like this one. You see the hole in there. They squirt oil and lubricate that wrist pin. So when you assemble a Duramax engine, after you have the rods and pistons in, you know, have the ring seated, the rod caps, you know, torqued, everything torqued, go ahead and grab these piston, you know, squirters that cool off the pistons and adjust them and aim them to that hole. They're brass, so you can maneuver them and bend them, because if they're off, that piston is not going to get any lubrication to lubricate the wrist pin. And you could drive like that for a while, but once that wrist pin seizes up in the piston, you know, the whole world's going to know it. So one last thing, this motor, there's nothing wrong with building a motor on the ground. You see a lot of dudes are like, oh, well, let's put it on a motor stand and do that. You know, you keep it real clean. You know, there's oil galleys in the crank. You see the holes. There's oil galleys in the block. Those actually go through, come back to where the cam is. Take you a simple air compressor with a chuck, blow those out. You know, it doesn't hurt for brake cleaner. You know, if you want to vat the block, you know, more power to you. You know, vat it, spray out those oil galleys. Any kind of trash that's in there, you know, you'll get it right out of there. And so there's nothing wrong with building a motor on the ground. I mean, these are heavy blocks, so I mean, finding a reliable stand that you can put it on is hard anyways. I mean, you got dudes out there, they're rebuilding trannies on the ground. I mean, one dude, he built a tranny, same dude that was making 1,799 horsepower with these exact pistons. He's built several of his trannies that were just on the ground. You know, let's pull it out of the truck and let's build the tranny on the ground. Stand it up on the bell housing, build the first half, you know, turn it over, stand it up on the tail housing, build the second half. So there's nothing wrong with building a motor on the ground, especially at this caliber, as long as you keep everything clean, you know, make sure everything's real nice and clean, and all that stuff, you know. So that's basically everything, you know. I mean, the rest of the build was really not that hard, you know. You know, we got the rear cover, the front cover, upper lower oil pans, the oil pump, you know, don't forget the oil pump seal. And when you put the front cover on, there's a seal that goes behind that also. Those are very critical if you leave those out. Unfortunately, you know, we don't have those problems in leaving that out. So, but there are people that have done that, and you know, the trucks don't run very long, if they even run at all. All right. Thanks for watching.